Hey everyone. Okay, perfect. It looks like I have everyone here. I'm just going to confirm. Can everyone hear me? Do you mind just letting me know in the chat? Just say like a quick yes or no. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay. Hi everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. So I see that all the presenters have requested to share your audio video, so that's perfect. The first presenter, just in terms of knowing the order, will be Israel. So just, be ready for me to let you in. So welcome everyone to the student talks of the student poster sessions of the 5th Polygence Symposium of Rising Scholars. The goal of the symposium is to celebrate and publicize the hard work of our Polygence scholars, all of whom have tirelessly worked on their projects over the last couple of months. We have a full roster of amazing Polygence projects to share with you. In today's session, we have 5 student presenters presenting on a variety of topics. In the room today, we have our judge, who, do you mind just letting me know if you're here today, the other judge? You can even just say it in the chat. Alexis Coles, perfect. So Alexis Coles will be judging today's sessions and poster presentations, who will be scoring each student's presentation along with myself. As you're listening to each presentation, each poster will have 5 minutes, and I'll come back into the room when you have 2 minutes left to present. So just be aware of that. Once you see my name in there again, that means that you should be wrapping up. And then we'll allow 2 minutes for questions after each presentation. So first we have Israel. So Israel, if you wouldn't mind, let me see. I'm gonna add you. Okay. Perfect. Hi.
Hi.
All right. So I'm gonna leave my screen. I'll put myself on like the video to be off. But once you see me back in, just be aware that that's when you have 2 minutes left. Okay?
Yeah, got it. Yeah.
All right. Perfect. Good luck.
Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to. Okay. Can everyone see it? Just gonna take that as a yes. Okay. Well, good morning and good afternoon for those of you who aren't in the Pacific. My project is the Allegory of the Modern Prometheus. Now, obviously, what I mean by that, so obviously what my project is, it's going to be obviously like an allegory, like a little short story, but also a literary analysis. So what do I mean? So what was my inspiration for the literary analysis? Well, I was always really, I guess, intrigued with trying to learn and understand books because, honestly, I don't really like reading books. I'm sorry if you don't like that, but I always had trouble with it. So I always thought, people always learn their own ways. You have people who are really good at STEM. You have people who are really good at writing and reading. But me, I'm one of those people who are just very good visual learners and who likes to draw, basically. And so that was sort of my inspiration coming into this project. So to create my own little literary analysis, tailor-made, if you can say that, custom-made to myself. So what exactly did I make? So it is a literary analysis of the 2 novels, Frankenstein by Mary Shelley and The Sea Wolf by Jack London. It is created in ink and watercolor, and I just sort of have all the types of symbolism scattered all throughout the drawing. Actually, you can see it right here. The biggest of which, or the one that can be applied to everything, is the hierarchical pyramid composition, which is strongest on top and the weakest at the bottom. The strongest here in the picture being the new modern era, which is represented by the steamboats, and the weakest being the romantic era, which is represented by Mary Shelley holding her creation, Victor Frankenstein. Now, I wanted to do this because it it is my way of, I guess, giving others as well confidence to I guess do stuff their own way. Because I mean, obviously, when you go to school, everyone there's this set of there's this stigma where you have to do things a certain way, or you have to absolutely do Cornell notes, or you have to absolutely write an essay. Now, obviously, those things are good. We've been doing them for so long, but sometimes people just like learning in different ways. And so, again, this is why I did it. As to why I chose the two books that I chose, The Frankenstein and Seawolf, it is mainly because I get a feeling of transition. Just as the era of Romanticism, in which Mary Shelley wrote, was shifting to a newer, modern era with Jack London, I was starting to understand and I guess sympathize with the mediums such as watercolor and because I actually my first project was done with a pencil, but ever since then I sort of shifted into again watercolor and ink because I just sort of change, and I mean we all sort of change, and even on a macro level, I too have sort of started transitioning from a high school senior to what is now going to be college. And I think, as scary as it is, I think it's um, still something really cool though, because I still sort of sympathize with it through the books and stuff. Overall, though, I'm glad to have read and analyzed the two books and learned about change. Really, my way, the Israel way. Most importantly, with my mentor Chelsea. Yeah. Um, sorry. I'm ready for questions, if there is any.
Okay, perfect. Then I would love, thank you so much, Israel. If anyone in the room has any questions for Israel based on his presentation, thank you so much on your work, this the time that you spent working with your mentor.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, so we're just waiting for the questions now. Okay. Thank you.
So I see a question in the chat.
Yeah.
Thank you for that great overview. I apologize. I took a bite right as I was about to talk, so that's why I got a little awkward. But you did a great job. Thank you so much. Thank you for that great overview. What was the most challenging part of this whole process, and how did you approach it?
I think the whole challenging part was, I guess, just thinking of the whole composition as a whole, because, like, I'm trying to fit two books together, I guess, and I'm trying to make them work, and I think once I finally got the ideas down, and I guess I was sort of able to make it fluid, I guess. I think I was sort of set right there. Actually, the second hardest thing. I'm sorry, I know you didn't say the second, but it was actually getting to use watercolor. I'm not exactly that good with watercolor. Like I said, I started my transition from pencil, and I'm starting to get into ink and watercolor, and sort of controlling the watercolor is very difficult as well. And I guess I just sort of went with it. I didn't stop.
Yeah, you took a risk, right? You did something that maybe wasn't something that you had previously done, but you tried something different.
A lot of experimentation.
Yeah, exactly. Which, that's really what Polygence really emphasizes, is right, just doing something different and exploring your creativity in that way.
Yeah.
I see another question in the chat from Samiksha. I'm so sorry if I pronounce anyone's names wrong. Just let me know if I do. What was your journey like in doing this project? What difficulties did you have?
Yeah, so again, the journey was an experimental one, I guess you could say. And I honestly, I'm not mad or anything about it. I messed up in some portions. I'll have to admit, like in some of the paintings and like in coloring with the watercolor. But honestly, I enjoyed it, and I like that I was able to, especially with Polygence, have that room to, I guess, experiment and create my own project tailored to myself. Like I said in the artist statements. And again, the difficulties arose once again with the watercolor, with the combination of the two books, Frankenstein and the Sea Wolf.
Mhm.
And yeah.
Thank you so much. Well, thank you so much for your presentation, Israel. It seems like the chat is really is very grateful for your opportunity to for you to discuss what it was like to take a risk and do something really, really amazing. So so for the purposes of time, I'm going to transition to the next presenter, who is Arshia Roy. So Israel, I'm going to have you just be removed from your screen share. And I'm going to put up Arshia. Hi. Okay, so Arshia is going to present on her poster. Arshia, just same thing that I mentioned to the previous presenter, to Israel. Just be aware that when I come back onto the screen, that means that you have 2 minutes left, so just start wrapping up, okay?
Got it.
All right, talk to you soon.
Good afternoon, good morning. It's afternoon here in Texas. And can everyone hear me? Okay, that's good. Then I'll be sharing my screen. Okay, so my name is Arshia Roy. I am a high school sophomore in Texas, and I worked on this project with my mentor, Joe Macheski. So this project, when I came into Polygence and I submitted my interview and like my project ideas, I wasn't exactly sure what exactly I wanted to do, but I knew that I wanted to work with sustainability because I felt it's something that's necessary and something which we should be working towards in our world. So after some like intro with my mentor, who was super helpful, we found some articles on the sustainable transportation plans of my city, which is Dallas. And based on those plans, we decided on our project, which was to basically find sustainable urban centers in the US and see what they did to successfully adopt sustainable transportation, and to just see trends in it and what groups of people use it, what groups of people don't, what the most used methods are, what the least used methods are, because we believed it would be helpful to know these trends to be able to apply this to other cities in the US. Because I know that where I live, the most used method of transportation is definitely just a car, because everyone just drives everywhere. We don't really have bike lanes in the streets, and it's not really common to see people bringing their bikes to the store. You just see cars everywhere. So our goals were to determine, again, 3 urban centers which are diverse in location and demographics with a high percentage of sustainable transportation use. And once we found these 3 urban centers, we wanted to analyze economic, social, environmental, and operational influences on the use of sustainable transportation. And finally, after doing all this research and writing our paper, we wanted to propose changes to other urban centers to increase their percentage of trips taken through sustainable transportation. As recently, the Biden administration actually just introduced a plan to do like a $50 million, I believe, investment in sustainable transportation in the country. So this is what we wanted to kind of give our opinion on. So first we define sustainable development, which is, according to the 1987 UN Commission, development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of the future generations to meet their own needs. So live our lives while making sure that the future generations can live their lives safely and cleanly as well. So our research, the process of this was first to collect data from our different cities by finding maps and overlaying them. And based on those map overlays, we found kind of trends to see like what's where. Once we did that, we also did basic research on different articles based on sustainability. And finally, we kind of looked at all those trends and just noted what we found. So here are key findings. It's just, there's a lot, but you can see stuff like where the highest average commute times are in cities like DC, where the bus lines are popular and where the subway lines are popular in NYC, and what are the most used methods of sustainable transportation in San Francisco, which these were our 3 urban centers, NYC, DC, and San Francisco. And then on the right, we have some of the maps which we used and some basic data for each of the cities. And at the bottom of the right-hand side, we have our recommendations, which is to invest money in safe and reliable infrastructure in the areas which lack it, such as bike lanes, bike shares, and more time-efficient rail systems, and to make sustainable transportation more accessible to targeted demographics, such as those with disabilities or a language barrier.
All right. Thank you. How do you pronounce your name? I don't want to mess it up.
I think you pronounced it right, Arshia.
Arshia. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, Arshia. Now I'm going to open it up to the room for questions. And I see in the chat that Alexis actually said, I'm actually joining from San Francisco today. I only use public transportation when I'm in the city. Also, I'm also from New York.
Yeah,
so
that's really cool.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
That's great. No, I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
No. All you. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. Actually, I got a lot of inspiration from a trip I actually took to San Francisco this summer, because we were visiting like a family friend, kind of someone who my dad knew. And like they mentioned how often they use systems like the BART in San Francisco. And I just thought it was really cool on like the contrast with that compared to where I live, which is like Frisco, Texas. And everyone just uses their cars. So that was definitely inspiration for this.
Thank you so much, Arshia. Yeah, I completely agree. I think that having cities invest more funding into transportation, public transportation, is so important. Especially someone as speaking as someone who's from or living in New York City, there are so many cars and it causes so many issues with, the even things like bike lanes, right? Like the arguments around bike lanes in major cities and transportation. And so I think your topic is one that is so important for the environment, for safety. So I'm going to Alexis's question, and then we're going to have to wrap up.
Okay.
What sustainable methods do you think are the most promising or applicable to Texas and particularly Dallas?
Okay, one which I think is definitely overlooked, and I feel like one of the most basic ones, which requires a lot less expensive infrastructure, would definitely be biking. Because biking is something I see like students just taking to school, but I feel like it would definitely open a lot more opportunities if people could use a bike as like a common method of transportation anywhere. And then for more urban areas like Dallas, I know that we do have the DART, but I'm really interested on how like tram systems and rail systems would work.
So important. I love that you spent time doing this during your Polygence mentorship sessions. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So Arshia, I am going to now have you take off your screen share, and I'm going to introduce the next presenter. Thank you so much. And the next presenter is Daniel. So I'm just going to remove that. And then Daniel, I'm going to add you. Hi, Daniel. How are you?
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you. All set. So same thing with the other presenters. I'm going to take my video off, but once you see my video pop up again, that just means that you have 2 minutes left to start wrapping up. Okay?
All right. Thank you.
All right. Good luck.
Okay, hello, my name is Daniel, and my project is VPNs and simple cybersecurity in today's world for the average user. So a lot of times, people don't really have a good understanding of how the internet works. And one of the biggest buzzwords today, especially in our modern society, is cybersecurity. And generally the logical question to ask is, what is cybersecurity? So cybersecurity is protection of electronic devices from web servers to cell phones, from attacks and unauthorized access. So there's basically two ways you can go about improving your cybersecurity. There's behavioral cybersecurity, and there's the cybersecurity on your actual computer. So that includes software and like antiviruses and things like that. I'm really focusing on more of the software side of things today. So one of the things people often ask is, why does this matter to me? So there are a lot of things that can be leaked, including your emails, your phone numbers, even your credit cards, maybe your social security number. All these factors are very important to you as a person, I'm sure, and can be used in very malicious ways in the internet. Okay, so we'll be moving on to the VPN as one of our first tools in cybersecurity. So the VPN is essentially a device that allows you to hide your location on the internet. What it acts as a sort of proxy. So you connect your computer to a VPN, and you pretend that that VPN is your location. So, for example, I don't have a VPN right now, but if I was to find my IP address, tools like ipleak.net show what your location is in real time. So as you can see, I live in Texas, so it would show my location. This is exactly what websites can see when you're browsing the internet. Another way to do this, to bypass this, is using a VPN. So as I said before, it hides your location. There are many VPN protocols which determine your speed of connection, things like that. I go over this here, but I'll kind of go through this because we're a little bit tight on time. And here's some VPN providers. I kind of analyzed each of them, kind of evaluated which are the best and their history and security. And I want to touch on a VPN gateway. So this was my actual project. So as you can see here, this is what an actual VPN gateway is. Not very impressive. This is a Raspberry Pi. It's a computer. You can turn it into a VPN gateway. A VPN gateway basically collects all the devices on your Wi-Fi network and basically routes it through this little box. By sending all these through this box, it'll directly connect to a VPN server, which obscures your entire network of devices on your Wi-Fi. So all your devices are hidden on the internet. This is a step-by-step guide on how to do it. It was a bit difficult for me to figure out how to do this. It took me a bit of time. The next thing I want to touch on is on browsers and search engines. So browsers and search engines are essential tools today. So maybe you use Google Chrome or maybe you use Microsoft Edge. All of these are very, very good browsers. Now, of course, we got to go over the features of browsers. So these things are, let's say they're pretty important. So operating system support. Does it work on your computer? That's probably the biggest one. Second one is, how does it handle switching tabs? So maybe you does it allow you to open all your tabs that you closed before, like an hour ago, if you close your window? Search engines, private browser and content filtering, all these are big factors. But the biggest one is safety, of course, because that's what we're focusing on today. And the answer to the question of what is the best safety-focused browser, I would say it has to be Firefox or Brave. Now, the reason why I picked two is because Brave as an engine is very safe out of the box. But on the other hand, Firefox is very safe as well, except you'll have to do further modification to make it as secure as Brave, or more secure. And another question that I get asked often is, what's wrong with my browser, right? Because a lot of people are pretty fine with maybe Google Chrome or stuff. But this is all applicable stuff that you could probably do within next 10 minutes maybe. So there's nothing wrong with using Google Chrome. It's just not nearly as safe, not nearly as secure, and Chromium is kind of a tool that's, how do I say it? It's kind of overused, and it kind of produces a monopoly. It's always good to help support the smaller guys in the fight, no matter what you can. I go a little bit more in depth on browsers and their actual statistics in this link. I could share this website with you guys later. This is what I did for my poster. Some other application that you could be using as a search engine, DuckDuckGo, right? Most people know what DuckDuckGo is. It's a very privacy-focused search engine. Personally, I don't use it. We say much still prefer Google Chrome, but it's still a very good search engine. Pastebin, so if you want to copy and paste something and send it to somebody else, that's good. Digital notebooks, maybe if you use Microsoft OneNote, for example, this would be a good alternative, and file sharing, of course. I won't touch on browser fingerprinting because it's a bit in depth. And here's some other quick tips. And I think I should probably start wrapping up. So would there be any questions?
Thank you so much, Daniel. So if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. My question for you is, what inspired you to, I think especially now with, recently we just heard with the cybersecurity issues with the Apple phones and hackers going. So I think this is a very relevant topic. What inspired your interest in this topic? So
a lot of the people that I know have been attacked and through their computers. Maybe they've had their passwords stolen. So it takes a lot of effort to having to fix all these problems. Maybe you had your credit card leaked on the internet, and you could have your identity stolen. All these are big issues. So because I knew these people kind of personally, I kind of felt that I had a need to maybe educate some people on how to prevent these things.
Absolutely, thank you. And then going off of that, another question that you have in the chat is from Israel. Was there difficulty in acquiring all that data? Were you able to go out into the field to gather it? Okay, so there was some difficulty in setting up the actual systems implemented. So as I was saying, VPN gateway is pretty hard to set up and pretty difficult, but it's not impossible if you follow the instructions. Making the instructions was probably the hardest part. I didn't have to go out into the field per se, as in I didn't have to hack myself to try to figure out what the weak spots were. But it was kind of difficult to gather all the data in one place. This website itself is more of a resource for people to be able to get maybe quick facts on what they can do to improve their behavior on the internet. Awesome. Thank you so much, Daniel. So with that, I am going to transition to our next presenter for time. So Daniel, I'm going to just have you take off your thing. Let me just, there we go. And I'm going to put up Jeffrey Kong.
Hello.
Hi. Okay, same thing as usual, Jeffrey. I'm just going to pop back in once you have 2 minutes, and just as a reminder to start wrapping up. Okay?
Okay. All right. Well, I'll figure out this. Wait, is it this one? Okay. There we go. Is my screen sharing? Alrighty. Okay. Perfect. So, hi everyone. My name is Jeffrey Kong. I've been swimming for a long time, since I was around 8 years old. Ever since I've been interested in all these swim times and results, and I'm kind of a swim nerd. I just enjoy seeing all those numbers and all the results of big meets. So basically today I'll be talking about analyzing Olympic swimming data using visuals made in R. Swimming is one of the most popular sports to watch during the Summer Olympic Games. Similar to other sports, swimming in the Olympics has been taken more seriously by its competitors and fans over the recent Olympic Games. Oh, whoops, this is shown. With introduction of new techniques, technologies, and training regimens, modern swimmers have been, shattering Olympic records left and right in the past few games. For example, this past summer, the Olympic Games happened in Tokyo after they were postponed in 2020. Due to the postponement, many events were had interesting results. per se. Events like the men's 100-meter freestyle, like, were the fastest and the closest they'd ever been in like any Olympic Games. If you look at like the first graph on the top here, you can see the difference in the range of times between the very first Olympics, 1924, in which the 100-meter freestyle was competed at, compared to the most recent one in 2021. As you can see, there is a bigger range of times in the 1924 compared to 2020. I believe the range in 1924 was almost 16 times more compared to the range in 2020. This just shows how the event has gotten more competitive over time, and how the competitors have been taking the event more seriously over time. Also in this event this past summer, American Caleb Dressel also broke the Olympic record for the first time since 2008. This is actually pretty significant, as the times set in 2008 and 2009 were all aided by quote unquote super tech suits. These super tech suits allowed for swimmers to become more buoyant in the water, and this basically allowed them to swim like crazy fast times. If you take a look at the graph on the left, and this graph basically shows all the international events in the 100-meter freestyle since 1996, and so basically this includes Olympic Games and World Championships. As you can see, in 2008 and 2009, there is a massive dip in times, which just shows like how much of those suits help swimmers improve times. And those suits were banned in 2010, and as you can see, after 2010, it kind of gets slower until recently, 2020, where swimmers started like trying new strategies, and those strategies allowed for the swimmers to improve and start reaching those super suit times again. So actually, also at these past Olympic Games, one event that was slower than usual this year was the men's 400 individual medley. Like, as you can see, in 2020, even though the time looks slow, it's not quite actually slow, but it does look slow compared to the other times. This trend is all due to one swimmer, Michael Phelps. He basically this was one of his main events, and he dominated this event, and thus it shows that it's shown in the dip in times, and it also shows how far ahead of the competition he was back then when he was actively swimming. And lastly, I would like to point out an event that has had a pretty normal improvement curve, which is the men's 200-meter breaststroke. It's kind of shown that as you can see in the density graph, each year a faster time is more common than the previous year, and this is also shown that in the fact that at each Olympic Games since 2004, the Olympic record has been broken. So like in the end, there are many different trends and different factors that can affect swimming, and can make it, and analyzing it and visualizing it can actually help see and analyze and predict all of these results. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeffrey. I see a question from Israel, so we're just gonna make some time for questions before we head off to the next presenter. This is more for curiosity, but were you able to apply what you learned to be a faster swimmer?
Actually, sort of. Yeah, like I'm actually very interested in like applying like outside knowledge into my own swimming career, and I was able to use these like race strategies and these different techniques applied by these Olympic swimmers in order to improve my own improvement. An example could be like starts, right? Like I mentioned earlier, the American who won the 100-meter freestyle, Caleb Dressel, he's famous for his amazing like fast starts, and recently I've been starting to practice starts as well, because like I saw how fast he swam at the Olympic Games, and I was like, wow, this will probably help me like in my event.
And then thank you so much. And then so last question before we head off. Amazing from Alexis Coles. Amazing. What was something surprising that you learned through this project?
I think the most surprising thing was like learning about events in the past, like basically before 2000. I didn't really know much about swimming like before 2000, but it was interesting learning about like how they swam, because it was completely different, and how they swam like without the modern technologies to like a system.
Thank you so much. All right. So with that being said, we are going to transition to our next presenter. Thank you, Jeffrey. I am just going to... I messed up. I took myself off instead. So I'm just going to remove you from the screen share. All right. And next we have Samiksha. Samiksha Sriram. I'm just going to put in your thing.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Hi. Yes,
Okay.
we can hear you. And I just want to confirm, because I see 3 other people below, Kathy, Romel, and Sonal. According to my list, Samiksha is the last presenter. Is that wrong? You all can put it in the chat. Sorry, I'm just a viewer. Okay, perfect. No, I just wanted to make sure. If you are a presenter and I don't have your name on my list, let me know. But Samiksha, you are last but not least. And go ahead, you can share your screen. I'll come back when you have 2 minutes left, okay?
Okay. All right, one moment. Can you guys see that? Okay, I'm just gonna assume you can. All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Samiksha Sriram. I worked on this project with my mentor, Amelia Dickens. The basic premise of the project is to assess whether or not Google Trends can predict an increase in the incidence of new active cases across the United States. Norovirus is a serious gastrointestinal disease or illness that affects over 2,500 Americans annually, so tracking this illness through various methods prevents more people from getting sick. We ultimately hypothesized that the data from the analytical tool Google Trends can in fact predict the number of cases that will be reported in the future in the United States that occur from November 2018 to April 2019. In doing this project, we had to set a few limitations. The first limitation was setting the location parameter to only the United States. We chose to do this because the incidence of norovirus is quite small. Therefore, by using a larger region, such as a country, it may yield more accurate results since there will be more data points to use. We also chose to only look at the dates between November 2018 and April 2019 because wintertime is when the most norovirus cases are prevalent during the year. And of course, this is only in respect to the Northern Hemisphere because, that's when November to April is kind of like our winter time. And then furthermore, we chose not to use dates prior to this because the CDC data was not well documented. And then after this, it was affected by COVID. That being said, this study utilized the CDC Neurostat data, and it's called NORS, which is the National Outbreak Reporting System, to present the case data and Google Trends throughout the US. Based on the common terms and symptoms associated with this virus, the search terms that we picked were diarrhea, body aches, headaches, norovirus, fever, nausea, vomiting, cruise ships, and gastroenteritis. I plotted the search term data against the CDC data and created a regression model as well as a correlation model. The results from this project showed that the CDC data graph had a similar shape to the graph of the search term. And the search term is vomiting, and that is seen on graph F, figure 1. The correlation coefficient of vomiting against the CDC data was 0.52, but the highest correlations were between body aches and gastroenteritis because the CDC data, against the CDC data, which was 0.63 for both of those search terms. As I mentioned earlier, we created a regression model. This model was used to determine the best line to match to the given CDC data, test how well the Google Trends terms actually predict the variable needed, and assess whether the model has significant predictive power. The significance F was 0.0431, which is less than the allowed uncertainty, and the allowed uncertainty that we chose was alpha is less than 0.05. This indicates that the model is significant. The coefficient of the determination yield, the coefficient of determination yielded a result of 0.618, meaning that 61.82% of the variability in norovirus cases could be predicted based on the search terms. The standard error shows that the predicted cases from the models would fall an average of 14.72 cases away from the real number. From this, we came to the conclusion that our hypothesis was supported, since the results show that the data can supplement in predicting future cases. A way this project could be improved upon is by using Twitter data in the future to estimate an increase in the incidences.
Thank you so much, Samiksha. So does anyone in the session have any questions that you want to ask? Samiksha, what was something surprising that you learned about this project? Maybe you didn't expect.
The thing that I found most surprising was when I had chosen the search term cruise ships as one of my search terms, I realized that like the whole thing about norovirus only like being the most prevalent in cruise ships was actually a myth. Apparently, it's really not, and it's just because cruise ships have to track all the illnesses and diseases that are going on, so it just seems like there's more, but really it's just more well documented. And like apparently only like 1% of norovirus cases even happen on cruise ships, and I was just so surprised when that happened. So like I also did a research paper for this project, and in my discussion portion I think I basically rambled about how much I love the whole cruise ships thing and how it was just so interesting to see. So yeah.
No, yeah, I'm sure it was not rambling. I think it's very interesting, and I think it speaks to something that people just don't realize unless you're intentionally looking for it. So all right. So, we have one more question from Israel. What interested you to choose norovirus?
Okay, so when I had first decided to do this kind of project, I actually wanted to do it on E. coli, but then I tried to do like a proof of concept run through, and then I realized, well, actually there aren't even that many cases of E. coli in the country, so like it would be really, really hard to do some sort of like statistical analysis like I did, because I was like already dead set, like I have to do a statistical analysis. I really want to learn about statistics. So because of that, I was like, okay, I'll do norovirus, and again, it was because of the whole cruise ships thing. I just really wanted to know why it was so like it was just so prevalent on cruise ships. I think I got a little obsessive with it, but like I mean I was just so excited to learn about it because of that. So
well, thank you so much for sharing your passion with us and your interests. I think that's the reason why these events and these talks are so interesting, is because we get to see how dedicated you all are to your projects. So thank you so much. All right. Well, with that being said, we have wrapped up today's poster sessions. So I am going to just a round of applause for all the presenters today. Thank you so much for your time. Polygence is so grateful that you all, are able to show off the work that you've been doing. And we're so glad that we're able to support you on stage today. Just a reminder that there are different panels going on today, so make sure that you just check out the different options available to you later this afternoon. And I hope that you all have a wonderful rest of your day at the symposium. Bye, everyone.